We hear a lot about disillusioned Remainers who left the Labour tent, but millions of people who voted Labour in 2017 also voted to leave the European Union a year earlier. So this is Ashfield, where about 70% voted to leave the EU, and I want to find out, is Labour hemorrhaging support here? Can they win it back? I'm going to talk to the candidates, or try to talk to the candidates, and people here on the ground. Here we go. Hiya, how you doing? The Economist said this is the weirdest constituency in the country. Is that fair?
Possibly. It's also the best. It's the one I wouldn't be in any other.
There's a lot of evidence that suggests that in seats like this, people who voted Leave and then voted for Labour in 2017 have now deserted the Labour Party. They've gone elsewhere. Is that fair?
In 2017, it was really hard on the doorstep, and now again. But I'm absolutely sure with all the evidence that we've got and the wonderful positive conversations that we're having that there is that core Labour value. We are a Labour area. It's part of our identity. There's too much hype about how many people are leaving us. It doesn't play out that way on the ground.
What does Labour have to do to turn things around for communities like this?
We have got the answers to today's problems, and we just need to keep shouting about them from the rooftops. If people don't want to hear for whatever reason, then I'll be really sad about it, but I'll do everything I can over these next few days to make sure that we are heard as loudly as physically possible.
Really smashed them in, didn't they?
This, I think, was intended to intimidate me.
Do you
and
feel intimidated by this? When you came in and saw all the windows of the office smashed in?
It wasn't me, it was the volunteers, and I just felt so sorry for them. They don't deserve any of this.
Was anyone in at the time?
Not while it happened. They just came in and had to clean up the next morning, and now there's no point us repairing them till after the election because it'll just happen again.
Are they frightening you just in terms of how ugly politics has become?
The stories that have been made up about me, the broken windows, the things that have been said, the direct messages that have been sent, absolutely terrify me. It's horrible, and it's also predictable. I knew it was going to be like this, and I've just got to keep going.
Where are you at on the election?
Boris.
And why Boris Johnson?
Because he's trying to get us out of Brexit. The Labour man is sitting on the fence. They don't know whether he's in or out. That's it.
Can I ask, did you vote Labour last time?
Yes, we've voted Labour since I've been 18. That's it, that's my point of view.
Labour?
Yeah.
I've always been Labour because I was a miner against Maggie Thatcher.
Yeah.
Closing our mine. Well, you've got my vote anyway.
Thank you very much.
Thomas Court, we loved working for them, and then it just went overnight, and you're like, what do we do now?
And you've got jobs now. I'm so happy for
We've
you.
got
And you're all
jobs
back
now.
together, and
Our
I am very, very,
heroes,
very
yes.
happy for you. That's
Yes.
wonderful. So we're just out and about. We're talking about, we've got an election coming up on the 12th of December. Do you usually vote?
I didn't last time.
Okay.
How come
I used to vote for Labour like years ago, but then, do you know what? I'll be honest with you. They all say the greatest of things, but when they get in, it goes to pot. And that's what puts me off voting. I think, what's the point?
Brexit. What does that make you think? Oh.
Oh, God.
Thank you for your time.
You want to double joint it, so both edges.
So Jeremy Corbyn's here on his campaign tour in the East Midlands, here at this further education college for people over the age of 16. What would your message be to communities like this?
If Boris Johnson manages to get a no-deal exit or a sweetheart deal with the USA, then our health service is at risk. Getting that message across as part of the whole package of Labour measures, which are about investment in everything, which will improve education, housing and health in our society and give people real chance and real opportunities.
So just finally, they wanted this to be the Brexit election. Is that what you're finding out and about?
No, not entirely. Obviously Brexit is an issue, but the issues of health and opportunities for young people are just as great, and also the issues of environment.
Thank you. See you in a bit. So we spent some time with the Labour campaign, but I want to chat to the Tories. We tried emailing the candidate, Lee Anderson. he hasn't replied to us, which is a real shame. What I want to do now, though, is speak to another candidate, Jason Zadrozny, who used to be a Lib Dem and is now a Brexiteer local candidate who is at the head of the council. So I want to see, what does he actually stand for? So the Economist said this is the strangest constituency in Britain. What do you think? Is it a bit odd in its own way?
Well, no, I don't think the constituency is strange. I think the race might be strange in as much as it's been pegged as a four-way fight. There's four strong contenders, but I don't think that's accurate. I think there's only a couple that'll emerge near the finish line.
Labour suggested that you and the Conservative candidate have stirred up tensions in this community. What would you say to that?
I think that's ridiculous. I mean, the Tory candidate is clearly a buffoon. You know, he's stirred up things because he's desperate for a headline. But to suggest I've been any part of that is tantamount to impertinence. You know, I have been assiduously fighting on local policies and nothing else.
You're pragmatic. Maybe Boris Johnson, maybe Jeremy Corbyn. You're not a fan of either of them, but it depends on the deal you get. But how can you then distribute material saying don't let Corbyn sneak into Downing Street by the back door? Because you might end up backing a Jeremy Corbyn-led government.
But I think the one fundamental thing aside of all the policies is Brexit.
Yeah, but you can still get Brexit with the Labour government.
I don't think you can.
Why not? You just get a referendum on it.
Yeah, well, nobody wants that.
A confirmatory vote.
Nobody wants that.
Well, polling shows a lot of people do, though, don't they?
Well, all right, so people in Islington might want it, but nobody in Sutton and Kirkby does. Nobody.
Under Jeremy Corbyn, they say they're going to have a confirmatory vote on a Brexit deal, with Remain as the alternative, and they're going to give Ashfield a load of investment, and that will be their promise. Mm-hmm. The Tories say we'll just get Brexit done very quickly, the hard Brexit of Boris Johnson, but he's not going to give you the investment that you want for Ashfield. What do you do then?
Well, do you know, much like Boris did with Europe, I think I'd renegotiate.
Are you saying you'd be willing to back Boris Johnson over Jeremy Corbyn, even if Jeremy Corbyn offers you more investment for Ashfield?
If Boris Johnson is the only one offering a swift Brexit without a second referendum, yes. My job is to represent Ashfield people to the government, and Ashfield people want Brexit, and they want it done now so they can get on with their lives. The problem with the Labour Party on this is there's two Labour parties. There's the one in the Midlands and the North that are facing massive Brexit leave areas, and you've got the Islington Labour where people voted to remain, and they can't ride both horses
48% of the population don't live in Islington, do they?
Well, no, but that's the problem with Labour, isn't it? They're in the Westminster bubble there, right, where some of their core seats were Remain seats, weren't they?
Is it really so bad to try and be a party that tries to straddle that divide? Is that really shouldn't we try and bring people together on Brexit?
Yeah, I absolutely think we should, and I think it'd be great to pour some oil on this troubled water, but I don't think they're doing it in the right way. Ignoring the vote of 17 million people and saying, let's just do it again, just double check, is so condescending to people that it's not actually healing that divide, it's making it worse. And I'll make you a prediction. I think the Labour Party in Ashfield, because of that, and seats around here, these sorts of seats where locally they've been let down by Labour and nationally they don't warm to Labour's message on there, are heading for their worst election defeat ever.
Worst, what, ever. Labour nationally?
In these sorts of seats, yeah.
Those who push for Labour to move towards a more Remain position, and even now say it's not Remain enough, presented that as a kind of cost-free exercise, that Labour had lost support from Remainers and it was doomed unless it did something about it. But it forgets places like this. There are lots of people who voted to leave who are Labour supporters, and if Labour loses them, they're going to lose the election and there'll be a hard Brexit. So that's the big question for Labour in the remaining 2 weeks of the campaign. Can they bring back together that old electoral coalition of Remainers or Leavers, or is the path for a Boris Johnson majority to tear that coalition apart?